Right, let's get more reaction. Joining us now, Cas Coovadia, CEO of Business Unity South Africa. Cas, good evening. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. What we hear from the ANC is that their theme for this year, at least in their statement, is a year of decisive action. We are hardly really back into the full swing of things as far as the industries are concerned, as far as those high demand areas that require energy. But already we are kicking into stage 6. Of course, we don't expect after the January statement that everything will now be fixed. But do you have any degree of confidence from what they are saying and to what is the reality on the ground that they've got a handle on this energy situation?
Well, we've said before that the President's energy plan as announced sometime late last year is a good plan. It resonated with a lot of what we put out in the public space, and we are working with the President's office to try and get that plan implemented as quickly as possible. But that plan, if implemented quickly, doesn't take care of load shedding immediately. Load shedding will only begin to diminish once we get more renewable energy and different types of energy onto the grid, because that's the only route to go at the moment. And we're not going to get that onto the grid at least in the next 2 years or so. So load shedding will continue. I think what we need to demonstrate to citizens and businesses in South Africa as a government is that we are working swiftly and seriously to address this crisis with a view to actually reducing and getting rid of load shedding over the next 2 years or so. And that's what we've got to concentrate on. So we think that on the energy thing, the fact that we're having load shedding, the fact that units are down and so on, is not surprising. We know what the problems are at Eskom. What the government has got to show is that it's working with the private sector, and we said we are prepared to work with the government to actually get the President's plan going, implement that plan as quickly as possible in a transparent way so that the public understands what's happening. And over the next 2 years or so, change the whole energy environment. It's not about Eskom anymore. It's about how we actually have a more diverse energy mix as far as forms of energy and distribution of energy is concerned.
Yeah. One minister that, if you ask certain people, would say has been directly opposed maybe to the introduction of IPPs onto the system, maybe his tune would have changed a little bit over the last couple of months, is Minister Gwede Mantashe. The resolution of the ANC being that the Eskom now will no longer fall under public enterprises, but will fall back into the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. Do you see this as a positive move as business, or do you see this as something that, because of the views that Minister Mantashe has held previously, could be a hurdle to the implementation of the plan?
Well, look, what the government does with this Eskom and who it accounts to, I think it's government's call. If government has decided that Eskom will fall under energy, I think that one of the positives about that is that Eskom is then clearly under energy. There's no, at this point in time, Eskom report to a certain extent had to not necessarily report, but work with energy and then report to public administration, public enterprises, and so on. And that just made the reporting and mandating quite complex. So if it reports to and it falls under one department, we think that would be fine. But whoever heads up that department, I think, must abide by what the President has made public as his plan. And his plan is absolutely clear that there will be significant private sector involvement in generation of energy. And we've seen in the embedded energy area, the moment the ceiling was lifted to 100 megawatts, and now, according to the President's plan, the ceiling is gone. But the moment it was lifted to 100 megawatts, we had substantial investment in embedded energy. The President's plan talks to substantial investment by the private sector in energy, and whichever minister heads up the Department of Energy has got to follow that. And if he doesn't follow that, the President must call him to account.
From the resolutions that come from conference, are you getting a sense that what the President has pronounced, I suppose, in previous State of the Nation addresses. We don't know what he's going to say this time. Is still aligned to what the ANC and the direction that the ANC wants to go, and therefore he's not going to have a challenge where his party wants to pull him one direction while him as head of government would want to go to a separate direction.
Well, if one takes a January 8 statement and the priority areas that the January 8 statement has identified, we have no problems with those. In fact, we, over a year ago, in January last year, put a number of those priorities to the President as critical areas where interventions need to be made. The issue here is how we do it. This January 8 statement says that we must, I don't have it in front of me, but we must mobilize all of society to grow the economy and so on. Well, you don't grow the economy by mobilizing all of society. You grow the economy by creating an environment for investment. And on the back of that, we begin to build an inclusive, sustainable economy. And to attract investment, certain tough decisions need to be taken to assure investors, both South African and global investors, that their money is safe, that we will create the environment for them to actually invest and make it easy for them to invest and start and grow businesses. And those are the sorts of decisions that need to be taken. It's not about mobilizing society for these decisions that government need to take. And on that and on a number of other issues, law and order, we agree with. Logistics is a critical issue. Now, all of these we've been working on for the last few months, and we will be ready to present something to the President on what are the 3 or 4 implementable action items in each of these areas. And we believe that if government implements those, we will make a substantial difference on investment and hopefully put our country onto a growth path.
Yeah. So you're saying these are projects on infrastructure, these are projects possibly on energy, and these are projects on logistics?
Logistics, infrastructure, law and order, water. I think these are some of the critical issues. Energy, obviously. These are some of the critical issues that we've got to deal with. And these are issues we put to the President at a meeting with him in January of 2022. And we want to work bilaterally with government to actually get these things going.
Cas Coovadia, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. That's
Cheers.
The CEO of Business Unity South Africa, Cas Coovadia, saying if the President sticks, supposed to that script and those priorities, as business, willing to get behind the President and support him. And of course, not particularly surprised that the latest announcement by Eskom of Stage 6 load shedding said this is expected, at least on the side of business, for the next 24 months still.